When people think of currency, they think of money, right? But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that the most valuable currency that we have is our time. And just like money, you spend time, you invest time, you waste time. And a lot of people, I feel like, do these things without thinking twice. Whereas if they were to do it with money, it'd be at top of mind and they know exactly where every dollar's going. And some people do, some people don't, but you get what I'm saying. We're much more aware of where our money's going as opposed to where our time's going. And so I think there needs to be a shift in behavior and mindset when it comes to how we're using our time. I think people have a yes problem. They say yes by default. It's easier, it avoids conflict, it feels more generous, maybe it feels productive. Meanwhile, saying no to something or somebody, while it may not be a huge thing, takes more courage, takes more effort that a lot of people aren't willing to put in. But what I think people don't realize is that every yes is a trade off, right? You're ultimately giving something to receive something in return. You're making an investment. So I'm not saying not to say yes to things, but you have to ask yourself, what am I getting in return when I say yes to somebody and invest time and spend time with said person or doing said thing? And I feel like more often than not, and I might be mistaken, but when you say yes to a lot of these things, it's typically not worth the time or money that you're investing or spending in said activity or person. For example, you said yes to a social event that you knew you didn't really want to go to, but you felt like you had to show face for whatever reason. You said yes to an obligation you didn't want to fulfill. You say yes to people who maybe don't make you a better person and aren't focused or invested in you like you are with them. So when you say yes to these things, there's also the cost of your time, your energy, the space you're holding for other people that could have been used for something else more productive, more valuable to you. And so all of that compounds and you feel the effect as time goes on of giving your time and your energy to other things and people that don't really serve you. So I don't want people to kind of wander through life and make these maybe subconscious decisions and ultimately allow other people to decide where you're allocating your time and energy instead of yourself. So I want to talk about spending and investing time and the difference between those two concepts. When you spend your time, you're receiving something in return of lesser or equal value. You're fulfilling an obligation, there's maybe a short-term approval involved, an experience that opens and closes with nothing being carried forward. Meanwhile, when you're investing your time, you're giving it away for something that compounds, right? You're building a skill, you're developing a relationship, you're doing a project. The value in the time you're investing is going to compound beyond the original transaction and provide a return on investment, right? And I'm not saying to invest all your time in work to, let's say, make money and never, take a break or rest or relax. Because rest and relaxation are a time investment within themselves when chosen intentionally. And they're just as important as investing time in your work and your relationships. The reason I want to highlight this and talk about it is because most people go through life where I'd say maybe 80% of the things that they do or that happen to them are things that happen to them, right? And then the other 20% are intentional choices that they've made. We need to figure out how to swing that pendulum a little bit, little by little, right? I mean, things happen, so, you don't have control over everything, but how do we make it so that we're intentional with the choices we're making and the time we're investing and spending on a day-to-day basis? It's very simple in theory. You really just have to ask yourself, is where I'm allocating my time fulfilling me, uplifting me, making me a better version of myself, or is it doing the exact opposite? Just to put things in maybe perspective for you, you wouldn't invest your money or spend your money without seeing a clear ROI on that return, right? And yeah, people make mistakes with their money just like they do with their time, but more often than not, if you're conscious and you're aware of where you're spending your money, you know what you're getting in return. Treat your time the same way. I want to segment into the power of no and saying no to things. People see no as a negative. It's not, it's directional. When you're saying no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else. Every no to something that drains you is a yes to your actual priorities and things that uplift you and fill you with energy and make you the best version of yourself, make you the version of who you're trying to become. So I would reframe my mindset when it comes to saying no and say, okay, this is me actually saying yes to the things that really serve me. So when you're building something of importance and meaning to you, it's important to say no to distractions, obligations that aren't yours, people who maybe don't uplift you or fulfill you. And I'm not telling you to always say no, right? There's good people and good investments of your time in, let's say, an experience or something of the sort that your time is deserving of, right? And will provide you a return on that investment. So it's really just about being very particular in where you're investing that time. So no isn't rejection, it's redirection towards something more worth your time, your energy, that's going to provide you more value in return, right? Like I said, I like giving you guys CTAs, and I mentioned this question earlier. Whenever you are faced with a decision and where you should spend or invest your time, you need to ask yourself, does this fulfill me? Does this uplift me? Does it make me genuinely excited to show up and be with these people or do this thing? If the answer is yes, you're investing your time and it's worth it. It's a compounding effect. If the answer is no, you're spending your time. And I'm not saying not to go do that thing or be with those people, but you need to be aware of the fact that, the value you're receiving in return for your time might not be as high as if you were investing it, right? And so it's okay to spend time, right? We spend money on clothes, on food, and whatever, but you just need to be aware in how that time being spent correlates to you, the kind of person you want to be, your goals, and if, you're maybe spending too much time as opposed to investing your time. I think another strong call to action would be to start with an audit, right? Look at your last week and look at the time you spent and the things you did and ask yourself, am I primarily spending my time or am I investing my time? Sort of run it through a filter, right? Asking yourself that question of, does this fulfill me or not? You'll immediately find patterns and you'll say to yourself, okay, I should probably not allocate so much time with said person or doing said thing. And I should probably allocate it more, to the gym or my mental health, reading, writing, whatever it is. So I think that's a valuable practice. And the goal isn't to be unavailable to everybody, right? It's to be unavailable to the things that don't deserve your best hours. And so one final caveat I just want to make clear to everybody, it doesn't take a lot to say no. I feel like a lot of people are people pleasers and they need to satisfy others at their own expense. We need to stop doing that, okay? You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody an explanation. Be kind, be communicative. Don't just ghost people, right? Don't avoid those difficult conversations or that difficult interaction when you do have to say no to something or someone. But just be clear, straightforward, and don't worry about the repercussions, right? Because you're honoring yourself by saying no to something you don't want to spend your time on. So don't feel guilty about it. You're allowed to make these decisions. You're a sovereign human being. You can choose where you want to spend and invest your time. So just don't, get up in your head and, feel bad for saying yes or no to any given event or person. Remember, every yes costs you something. Start asking yourself whether it's worth it before you give it away.